Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy.
Terry Diaz is a fucking genius.
She is. She fixed it. Uh-oh. Bless you.
This is so. This was like this on the podcast I did with Tim Dillon, and it was so comfortable.
The chair like that?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Terry Diaz, for fixing Bert's chair.
She took Joey's last name.
I think she does some. All her stuff says Terry Clark Diaz. So I don't know. Boy,
I can't wait to hear that.
I think it's a pretty good one. You know, I tried to stick with her life because I think it's really interesting to figure out who the person is that married Joey. Not just like, hey, what's it like to be married Joey? That's such a typical thing to ask. And we talked about that a little bit, but
Such a great person.
She's a really stellar human being, actually.
Not to harp on that podcast at all, but to find the person who falls in love with the thing that we fell in love with Joey.
Yeah.
So, you know, like it's the same type of person that would fall in love with me.
Yeah.
So many people look at me and they think one thing. They think like, oh,
meathead.
Fuck. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, he's so obnoxious. I remember. I had a friend. I'm not going to say his name because I know. Oh, I'll say it. I don't give a fuck. I remember Billy Gardell. One time we were at dinner and he was inviting everyone to his house for Sunday, and he didn't invite me. And I said, "Hold on, is this a bit? Are you not inviting me on purpose? We were all doing Jameson comedy thing." And he goes, "No, man, I can't have you in my house. It's like ripping your shirt off and getting drunk." I go, "Hold on, Billy, that's not what I'm like in real life." And he was like, "Yeah, it is." I go, "No, like I can hang out at your house and be nice." And he was like, "What?" I remember it kind of offended me. Steve Byrne was laughing hysterically. He's like, "Billy, Bert can also just hang out, like, you know,
just be a regular person."
Yeah.
I think that Terry,
I gotta get Billy on my podcast.
I think Terry and I both have this ability to see past that first layer.
Yeah.
And that's why past the first layer is a lot of depth and complexity and a lot of intelligence and compassion. And Joey's such a sweet, loyal, lovely human being. And all this dog, let's smoke 18 with things of weed, dog, you know, is only part of who he is. It's a small part, you know. And I think she met him.
Please isolate that audio so I have it as a ringtone for Joey Diaz.
Shut up.
So when he calls, I hear, dog, let's smoke 18 things of weed.
But he shows up at my house and goes, "Hello, Mrs. Kreischer." And I'm like, "Joey, you're older than I am. You don't call me Mrs. Kreischer. It makes me uncomfortable." But he's just a sweetheart. And I think she met him at a time where if she fell in love with him then, she'd be in love with him forever. I think he was a bit of a mess when they met.
Yeah.
So I think if you can take him, if you fall in love with him then you're probably really in love with who he is.
So what does Cathy like sexually?
Oh, shut up.
Good segue. Well done.
No, I wanted Steven to come on and Bert to talk about sex because Steven's wife is Cathy, and she did my first episode, number 8, about sex. And I asked actually a couple of other guys, and they all said no. Whoa. So thank you for being brave. I don't need to know like Cathy sucks at hand jobs. I'm not really actually interested in that. I'm more interested in the juxtaposition of what she talked about to what you talk about a little bit, and how husbands and wives connect and how they don't connect, like how their brains function differently. I'm really interested in that because
you should do a separate episode with those other guys about being pussy whipped.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they felt that something would be withheld, or if it's just too vulnerable. You know,
a lot of people. Steven is in the industry as well, and there's a little bit of a curtain that we're allowed to pull back when you're in the industry. You're allowed to show certain things. A lot of them are just their jobs are such that they don't want people at work.
Yeah, totally.
And like they're not creative around the people at work with them. They don't want people at work knowing about them and their wives sexually. I understand that.
I understand it too.
I talk about it on stage. It's kind of crazy.
You talk about it around the campfire.
Right?
I talk about it all the time.
I talk about it a lot.
Because he's obsessed with it a little bit.
Yeah.
A little
so
bit.
good.
And your boobs.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with her boobs.
Yeah, I have good boobs. I've always had good boobs.
They've gotten better. They weren't always good.
You think so?
Yep.
I've heard this conversation before.
But why?
When you had, your best boobs you ever had in your life was right after Georgia.
Breastfeeding, right?
Right after Georgia. Those boobs were fucking ridiculous.
Duh. And Cathy had boobs then too, right?
She had some boobs then. Now not as much.
But Kathy, I say this all the time on the podcast about you, Stephen. I feel like you married Cindy Crawford.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you married
out of all of us,
Lady
you are the
Godiva.
one.
Like,
You are the one. I would say I'm most. I need my wife the most. You love your wife the most.
I think so too.
No, I think that's true. I mean, I don't know if I don't know
You
if I
adore
love-
her the most.
Yeah, no, I deeply, deeply love her, and regardless of all the other things that go on in a marriage that make you frustrated and want to give everything up and run away with a 20-year-old.
Right.
Oh, we were talking about that last night.
Like and over the years, because we've been together a long time, over the years, it keeps getting more and more. Like I keep realizing how much more I love her.
Right.
But I also am still really attracted to her.
Right.
And I can be out with people and I'll notice a woman who I think is gorgeous, and sure enough, she'll be tall and she'll be blonde and she'll be thin.
Right.
It's like that's my thing. Clearly that's my thing. And I married exactly what I wanted, and I'm in love with her, and that doesn't go away.
That's so awesome. That's really.
I could still use a few more blowjobs though.
You can use it for.
I mean, isn't that what we're here for?
Yeah, that is part of what we're here for sure.
Leanne was never my type. I was never into brunette kegs. I was
brunette kegs. You're an asshole.
I was.
I'm only recently keg-like. I wasn't keg-like until I hit like 48, and then I started going, "Wow, I'm starting to shape up like Willa Mae Kemp. I look like my
I
granny."
do not like when you say that because I can't look at your grandmother sexually.
I know, but your body changes, and there's not a lot you can do about some
still
of
have your
it.
teeth.
I do still have my teeth. I have a good smile.
Yeah.
They do get in the way of the blowjob, the teeth. So maybe.
So
at
were
some
the girlfriends
point,
before? Not to. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, you go ahead.
Were your girlfriends before? That was your type, tall and blonde?
No. Well, not always. No. The girlfriends ran the gamut, but I guess I just developed that thing, and I don't know.
My thing was always bimbo-esque. And it wasn't until I met Leanne that there was it was like
one girl before me was like me. That one girl?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Here.
Rachel, was that her name?
You can yeah.
She was like petite brunette.
Yeah, she was.
Natural looking person. Right?
Yeah, from the South too.
Was she from the South?
Yeah, but she didn't have an accent.
Oh. Since it doesn't count.
Your accent turned me on. The first time I saw you, I was like, you had your glasses on. You were writing in that building with that person.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she is sexy. And you had this. Leanne's got a real bitchy face. I like bitches.
Do you?
Yeah.
I do have a little bitch face sometimes. I know. But
You're like this.
well, you were interrupting us. We were writing, and you were totally interrupting, and I was pissed. I was like, "Get the fuck out!" Is what my brain was thinking. Who is this person that just walked in and interrupted us?
And the second time I saw her, I was with my buddy Croy, and we were going to spin class or yoga class, and I saw her again. I go, there she is, and Lorenzo was with us.
Yeah.
And Leanne's ex-boyfriend, who she had just broke up with, showed up at yoga class with flowers.
Yeah.
To try to win her back, and she berated him and belittled him in front of everyone.
I don't know that I did that.
You don't do that. You don't do that. This is inappropriate.
I did do that. I don't know if that's berating and belittling.
From our perspective, a guy who shows up at yoga class with flowers and then gets basically
but you don't know the
told off.
backstory.
I don't need to know the backstory.
Yeah, but what was I supposed to do? Thanks,
No.
Privately berate and belittle him?
All we saw
No.
all we saw was this guy get humbled, I'll just say that, and walk out with those flowers.
With the flowers.
And I was like, I don't ever want to be on the other side of that. I don't ever want to be on the other side of that face, that fucking conversation. And sure as shit, 4 months later, I was.
You were? It wasn't 4 months.
It was.
It was a little more than that.
Okay.
And we started dating a little bit after that. And then 4 months after we were dating, that happened. Yeah.
Leanne broke up with me, and I was that guy with the flowers. And she was that fucking...
But it wasn't flowers, it was a mixtape.
Shut up, Leanne.
It was
Shut
a
up, Leanne.
mixtape! He made me a mixtape and put it on my windshield.
This is going to fuck my career up.
You made a mixtape.
I made a mixtape.
Did. A mixed CD, actually.
Mixed CD with a letter. I wish you still had that letter.
I think I probably do somewhere.
And then I realized I was that guy on the other side of the flowers. I was like, fuck.
I fucked up.
I fucked up big time. I fucked up really big time. I kept going like, this was the one. This was the one. She was the good one. I'm in LA. I'm never going to find another good one. Like a good one that I know will fucking be there. Like this one gave a fuck. And I was like, you fucked it up. I went on a jog up Runyon Canyon. I was coming down Outpost by Ben Affleck's house. And the sun was setting. It was beautiful. And I said, or maybe the sun was coming up. I forget. And I said, if you give me this one back, I won't fuck it up. I won't cheat on her. And God was like, hold on, you're not going to cheat? I go, I'm not going to cheat on her. I'm not going to do anything bad. I'll be really true to this one. I'll make sure that she has a good life. I'll work hard. I won't be a fuck up. I promise. And he was like, okay, you just promised. Are you sure you're going to hold that? I'm having a conversation with God on Outpost. I said, I swear to God. I swear to you. Give me this one opportunity. And I got home and she was there. And you were in a sundress. You had gone to a church or something. And I was like, and God was like, I told you, motherfucker. And I was like, hold on. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.
I promised.
Oh, fuck. And then I had a little bit of panic attacks because we went out to date in Malibu. I had panic attacks about whether or not this would be the one. And I was like, wait. And then without a doubt, I was like, once we started hanging out and I think all the drama separated, I was like, yeah, we're back.
Yeah, I had some friend drama that was going on too on the side that needed to suss out, and that helped too. But anyway, so back to sex. So we were talking about I just listened to episode 8 with Cathy and Sam this morning to refresh my memory because I know you've listened to it, right?
I listened to it and then I listened to the part 2.
Part 2. I didn't really listen to part 2 because it was really about that guy that wrote the letter, which was really a jerk move, but whatever. But we were talking about the thing that I really wanted to talk about the most was that kind of to-do list. I think we had a conversation in my kitchen about where sex lies in the list of priorities for men versus women once you have kids, right? Which I thought was really fascinating because for men it was like, number 1, make money, number 2, sex. And for women it's like, number 1, pick up kids. Number 2, do homework. Number 8, you have sex.
Oh, I remember having this conversation.
You do?
At our, even before, I remember in my backyard at our old house.
Yeah.
We were sitting around a fire, drinking one time, and you were there. you were there, and Eric was there, and you all the women were in and out with the kids and whatever.
Right.
And that whole thing came up about the list, the hierarchy of, and that was the first time we sort of started messaging it back and forth to each other that way.
Right.
We would always talk, sometimes in jest, sometimes not, about how it's a different priority. And you would say whatever you would say, and most of the men would agree. And then she would hit back and say, well, it's just not, I can't do that every day. And I can't, and it was the circular conversation.
Right.
I feel like the fun of the conversation that we would have as a group, it was indicative of the actual conversations couples have, where it's this sort of, this is what I want, this is what I want. There's two different points of view, and that they don't really come together until finally there's a breakthrough and somebody goes, well, it's just a totally different balance. Like, I'm just not where you are. And then the other party says, I'm not where you are. And that's kind of where just men and women are in general about sex. As genders.
I think so, but I think the problem is that people aren't having those conversations.
Probably.
That men are just frustrated, and then women are pissed because the man is frustrated, and they're not having the conversation where they're saying, hey, I'm taking care of, 3 different people besides myself and 8 different avenues of care. Like, I have softball, I have piano, I have tennis, I have Girl Scouts, I have your job, I have bills, and you just have your job and a little bit of kids and sex. And then but I don't think couples do talk about that. So I think it's important for us to talk about that, because then it may give them an avenue to say, hey, you know what? I feel exactly like Steven and Bert, and I bet my wife feels exactly like Leanne. So maybe.
Well, there's a frustration that goes into not having sex. I made a joke about it on stage a long time ago. So it was the idea of like, I'm gonna hit on my wife. What if I get shot down?
Yeah,
like fuck that. I don't want to get shot down by my wife. That's just supposed to be a sure thing.
But it's not a sure thing. Do you think it's well, Steven's?
It's definitely not. It's definitely not a sure thing.
Right.
But
it should be.
There should be there.
That's
it shouldn't.
patriarchal.
It also shouldn't feel like rejection.
Yes.
Right. Like
fuck rejection.
It shouldn't feel like rejection, even if it's I can't do that now. I'm not there. I'm not ready. I'm not feeling it. I got numbers 1 through 6 to do. You're number 7, and I'll get there maybe later, maybe tomorrow. But when it feels like a rejection, as in I gotta go find pussy elsewhere,
right?
then it's like, wait, I'm married. I'm not supposed to feel this way,
right?
That's a really good point, Steven.
It is really a good point, but I think the tipping point is different for everybody. Like your threshold of, okay, I'm not that you actually put a concrete number on it by any stretch, but your threshold of how many times she can say, I can't do this right now is probably much deeper than Bert's threshold. Like if I say 1, I feel like I get 1.
I was about to say 1.
I get 1.
1 no.
And the second no, we're definitely divorcing. Like for sure, I am broken.
We're not divorcing, but we should definitely talk about
this. This is terrible, right? I mean, like, and I'm like, that's a lot. That's kind of hard for me to. Then I feel like, okay, I've only got 1 no, and then after that 1 no, the shit show that happens after the 1 no is worth. I'd rather move that up to priority 2 and just get it done.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with the fallout of the feeling of rejection, which I don't want him to feel rejected. But sometimes that laundry list of shit we have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, Cathy and I are constantly on the phone because we're constantly in our car talking about, oh my God, I'm in the car for hours driving kids to and from all of their stuff. And as not exhausting as that should be, it's fucking exhausting. Because I think what happens is the laundry list of the stuff you could be doing instead of driving makes you feel tired.
Imagine if I was calling Steven on the ride home going like, ugh, she tried to tell me a story yesterday. And he was like, what? You had to listen? I was like, I tried to listen. I couldn't listen. I told her halfway
about shopping?
Yeah, I was like halfway in. I was like, I can't listen to you talking about drop off. And
you actually say that to me. So I don't think it would really happen to Steven. It wouldn't have mattered.
I'm trying to think of the thing that you like as much as I like sex. And that's me listening.
No, it's funny. Someone keeps telling me, not someone, but people keep saying I should read this book about the 5 languages of love or something, how people receive. No, but different people receive love differently. Like some people receive love sexually. Oral. Some people receive love by
anally,
yeah, right, totally.
Vaginally. I'm trying to think of the 5. Oral, anal, vaginal, hand job.
Yeah.
Then titty fucking. Okay, keep going.
Okay. Yeah, we got more. I think one more.
I apologize if I'm not letting this podcast be the serious thing. Really. Anyone listening?
It's fine. It's all.
Keep going.
Opens a conversation.
I've been writing a lot of jokes lately.
Have you?
This 2 weeks off have been letting me write jokes. I've been loving it.
Yeah.
Keep going. So the five languages of love are.
Yeah, like your language of love. Clearly, the way that you feel that you receive love is through sex. But I don't. That's not how I receive love. I receive love like through like cuddling and spending time together.
Yeah.
And so I have to think to myself, he's not feeling loved if I don't have sex with him. Which I don't like not feeling loved if we don't spend time together or do like something stupid. Even like when we played a board game, we played 1 round of 1 board game, and I was like, that was the best thing ever.
I like that though.
I know, but you really receive love through sex. That's really your avenue. So then for me to then have the perspective of he receives it a different way than I receive it,
sure,
I think is really helpful.
Okay, what about this? This is going to be a real insight into the way my brain works. Do you ever feel like they don't appreciate, okay, this is a shitty thing to say, but I'm going to say it. I'll say this and just you tell me if you feel this way. I feel like sometimes you don't appreciate how attracted I am to you, despite the fact that you're you're 48 and I met you at 30. Like I met you at 30, like fucking
started off
franchise player years.
Pre keg body.
Right.
Pre-keg.
Yeah,
Pre-keg. When you were a six-pack, I met you. You were a case of beer when I met you, an upright case of beer. No, but like when I'm like, I always go like.
But wait, what do you think about that?
I agree. Like, so I'll say things to Kathy and won't get the response that I think is warranted or something even close. And I'm not serious, but okay, if you want, I won't be attracted to you anymore. Oh. Like, aren't you happy that I am?
Yeah.
Aren't you happy?
Aren't you happy that I think you're hot still?
Right. Like you're changing just to go to bed, and I'm happy to watch.
By the way, me too. Yesterday, she had a conversation with me with her shirt unbuttoned and no bra on, and she was trying to talk to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's awesome.
Right. But
it's annoying sometimes to them.
But it's not. Yeah. It's not. It when it doesn't feel like appreciated. Like there's no. Like I feel like Kathy should feel pride because of that. She should feel empowered by that.
Yeah, if every time I took my dick out, drool came out of your mouth, I'd go, oh, look at the power I got over that. I'd be taking my dick out.
So you may be part Neanderthal.
I'd be landing on the counter while you were cooking a Blue Apron, and you'd be like,
chop,
hey,
chop, chop, chop.
Pass me the.
Right.
That's really funny. It's really interesting. I really thought Bert was maybe the only person that had a perspective, and I actually think that's a really healthy perspective for a long, happy marriage. Right? I hear what you're saying, that you feel like that should be somehow, at least, acknowledged is the wrong word, and rewarded is not the right word, but maybe like appreciated. Like appreciated in a deep way.
Yeah, but not like gee, thanks. But appreciate it as in
a deep way.
I'm gonna rip your pants off and show you why I appreciate it.
See, it always ends up in sex.
But yes, because that's how our brains work. That's the difference. So I think there's and so again, I know this is somewhat related to that first podcast, but when we talk about the differences and men trying to understand the differences women have and why it's a different priority and their bodies work differently and the vaginas work differently after popping out a bunch of kids and all these things.
Yep.
The fact is that our brains started at 1,000 miles an hour wanting sex, wanting to have orgasms because of the amount of testosterone that swirls through us.
Right.
And it hasn't changed.
Right.
We've had kids, we've grown older, and it's still like that.
Right.
So I still am. Maybe I want a little bit more sleep, but I also want that amount of sex and think about it that much that, as I did, 25, 30 years ago.
I think that's partly the reason men have midlife crises is there's something about sex that makes you feel young. And I think, I don't like talking about this because it connects to my family, but there's something about someone who makes you feel young, where you want to lose weight, you want to be healthy, you don't think about like binge eating or binge drinking. You just are like, yeah. It's almost like, and so I think, I know for a fact, like when we have sex, like this morning, you looked literally 25.
Aw,
well, like I kept kissing you because I was like, God damn it, she's beautiful.
Aw, that's very sweet.
Yeah, but then when you say no, I see the lines in your face.
I'm a crone.
Yeah, like
I'm a hag.
There's like a.
But then here's my question back to what you're saying. If you from essentially the first boner to now have generally a similar same sex drive,
right?
But that isn't the case for women. We think just biologically, men can produce babies until they die.
Yep.
Women can't. Like hormonally, a woman's body starts shifting whether she wants it to or not.
Right.
And I would imagine biologically that affects your sex drive, your libido. I have children. I don't need any more children. Hormones are saying sex is now it's down at a 5, now it's at an 8. So how do we reconcile that?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a balance. So if as as a gender, as married men, we're to sort of reset our thinking, calibrate our thinking with that understanding.
Right.
Then the balance is that our wives or women would naturally, and I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure plenty do.
Yeah.
But that they would calibrate their thinking
Right.
to sort of meet in the middle and go, okay, I have to remember that 18-year-old sex drive or close to it, that 25-year-old sex drive is still there.
Right.
And it's chemical.
Right.
Like, I can't not think about it.
Totally. Yeah.
I can't stop it.
Right.
And so if the person I'm attracted to and committed to is like, yeah, I'm good for now, then I still got to deal with the chemicals swirling through my brain
Right.
that is preventing me from concentrating on whatever else I need to concentrate on. And it's a real thing. I mean,
I believe it.
Yeah.
I see it. I live with it.
Right.
Where if he, in certain instances, not all the time, but sometimes if Bert really wants to have sex and we don't get to, it literally fucks up his whole day. Like he's off for the whole day. And then I feel responsible. Then I go, well, what do I do in this situation? Do I take care of him entirely? Or do I take care of me? I have to make a choice.
Yep.
What do I do? I can't find a middle. And sometimes, not all the time by any stretch of
Right.
the imagination, but from every once in a while, and it's pretty rare lately, but every once in a while, I'm like, I just can't do it. And he just is like, well, my day's fucked. And now I'm going to, oh shit. And he's in a bad mood the whole day. And I feel terrible. But then I go, well, now if we have sex now, that's not what he's looking for either.
It hasn't been that while in a way. That way in
It's
a while.
been a while, totally. But you're not the only person that listens to this that has that
No, yeah, I
experience.
definitely have been hard. I've said it on stage about. I think I put it in my last act. You ever had sex with someone who doesn't want to have sex with you? Not rape, but like, I think that was in my. Was that in Secret Time?
It was somewhere. Yeah, I remember hearing it somewhere.
Was that? I gotta, because if not, I wouldn't mind exploring that again.
It's an interesting exploration as we get into this middle age part of life, because I really would like to be as sexually driven as he would like for me to be.
Yeah.
This is why in
And I
Italy they had
genuinely
side
am
chicks.
not. I know you've talked about that before,
But
more than once.
that talk about rejection.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, what kind of side chick do you want?
Yeah.
I've already planned this one out. She doesn't speak any English.
Yeah.
She's learning, though. Right. And she's learning by phrases like...
anal again.
She'd be from Sweden. She'd be tiny. No, I'd have a big one. I'd have a really big
Tiny
one.
people in Sweden. They're like the tallest people on the planet.
Really big. I want her to be like 170 pounds. Tall. I want a giant. I want her,
you want
her
a big
dad,
keg.
I'm going to call her Magnus.
You are such a dummy. What were you saying, Stephen?
That we're talking about rejection, the sort of phoning it in type of sex.
Yeah.
That also can feel like rejection. It's like, let me just take care of him. But if it's taking,
I know that look. The look they give on their face where they do this.
Are you done? Are you close? Are you done? Like, that's well. So you're if you're just punching the clock here, I don't like. There's no connection.
Right.
Like, I'm not with my wife because, or I should say, I'm with my wife because of several reasons, including love and connection and all the stuff that you guys were talking about in your podcast about sex. Like,
right.
There's a lot that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
But if I feel like it's just a favor. Yeah. Like I don't need that.
It's a favor, yeah.
Like but then again, that would make her feel shitty because she's like, well, isn't this what you wanted? Something you wanted, even when I can't give 100%, you want something,
right?
But you gotta at least fake the fact that
you're
into it.
You're into it.
Yeah.
I'm not with you just because of your holes.
Right.
I'm with you for.
Oh, well said.
Yeah, I'm with you for more than one hole at a time.
Well, sometimes I can say sometimes.
I'm sorry, that's a fucking. That should be a T-shirt.
That should be a T-shirt.
I'm with her for
one hole at a time.
More than one of her holes at a time.
Because my information goes in her ear holes, right?
I need her
like
mouth
that
hole to be
too.
working, her eye holes to be working, and then I want that hole.
Yeah, totally.
I'll take that hole by
You
itself.
take that hole probably first priority, probably. So I think, yeah, it's so interesting to think about the differences between men and women, and I can't imagine as who I am now being as focused on sex as I was in college. I thought about it a lot, and if that's what you're saying, you think about a lot. I feel like, man, I wouldn't get anything done. That's the way I feel. Like I think that's pretty impressive that if you still have that same libido, you're getting all this other shit done at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I used to, in college or, let's see, high school, college, a lot of what I was, the goals was how do I get that girl that I'm chasing right now? Chase, land, get, date, whatever.
Right.
Now there's no chase. It's just going after my wife consistently, every week.
Like the bear and the bunny.
Yeah.
What's the national average is 6 times a month.
What?
Yeah, I think.
No, I have it right here. I have.
I read that in probably 1997.
Most couples have sex once a week. That's from the sex statistics research I did before.
Once a
episode.
week?
Once a week. Most couples have sex once a week, which is 4 times a month, roughly.
We're under the national average for paraplegics.
What?
I'm joking.
We have sex once a week. Do you and Kathy have sex once a week?
I don't think so.
No.
She would probably say yes.
No, I don't think
The
she
same
said
way,
yes.
The same way that
Right.
someone without feet looks at a hill and goes, "That's gonna take forever."
What?
And it's someone.
That doesn't even make sense. What?
She would say once a week because she, from what we're
'Cause it
talking about,
feels like once a
it feels
week,
like once a
even
week.
though
Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
every
We're
2
doing
weeks.
it 5 times a week. You're like, we did it once last month. Oh, that's more than enough.
No, well, you and I have sex
Me
once a
and
week.
you have one at least, I think.
Yes, at least once
No,
a week.
if I say to her, I'm like, it hasn't been since whatever.
Yeah.
She'll go, oh, that's so wrong. That's so dramatic. You're being so dramatic.
Right.
You're being so dramatic. It's always right.
He says that.
Yeah, that because we don't have it. In my opinion, we don't have it enough. So I go to the extreme and say we don't have it ever. But that's, I think, the
Yeah,
typical,
that's what I meant with the no feet and the mountain hill.
Yeah, I got
thing.
you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well,
My
in the-
analogies are sliding off a tad bit.
Sliding off the hill.
That was
Yeah,
In my podcast,
like a bus full of children. Huh? What?
in my podcast, I was saying Bert and I are lucky because he's only home usually 2 days a week. So
Right.
then it does bump up in my priority list because I don't have
You
this
have a window.
never ending open end.
See?
It can happen whenever.
That's another reason Kathy should appreciate me. I'm around all the time.
Yeah.
It can happen whenever.
Right.
But when he's home for longer stretches, we'll go like 8 days. But like if
Yeah.
he's home for 2 weeks or so, we'll have sex pretty soon after he gets home. And then I'll be like, wow, it's been like 8 or 9 days now, which actually fits my rhythm better. But because I want it to happen on a regular basis, because I want that, I change my intentionality. But like my libido is on more like an 8-9 day rhythm, right? So if I were left to my own devices about every 8 days or so, I'd be like, okay, let's get busy. But because we have to do it on such a regular basis, it's a little shorter. Not a lot shorter, only by a couple days. But yeah, when he's home for stretches, I notice myself going, where's Bert? When I don't really go, where's Bert? When we just have that 2 day window as much, as strongly. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's interesting is, I think, is the coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Like how men deal with not having sex. Because
Yeah.
I've heard. I had one guy one time tell me. I said, "Yeah, we're not having sex a lot," and he said, "Oh, that's super easy. Don't touch her physically. Don't touch her. Don't touch her. Don't touch her for like a week." And I went,
Well, that's
"Really?"
definitely how you cope.
I go, hold on, He goes, you don't even touch her. and try to avoid eye contact. And trust me,
What?
at the end of the week, they do that to children in Russia. They don't get touched, and they really crave human touch. She'll come to you. And I was like, I remember hearing that going, holy fuck. I had another guy tell me, oh, you know what I do? I just defiantly jack off in bed while we're going to sleep. I wait till I think
Defiantly? So with anger?
Defiantly jack off in bed. That's hysterical.
sometimes I'll come on her back.
How's that working for her?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I bet it's interesting.
Talk about a temper tantrum. That's a big tantrum.
Like
I'll tell you
grumble
that-
while it.
I'll tell you who that was. Off mic, and you'll go, that makes total fucking sense.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh God! Don't let me forget to ask you. That's crazy.
I'll just mouth it right now. Tom Segura.
Oh, shut up! I was not.
I'm joking.
That's not true. So blowjobs. Let's talk about blowjobs.
Ooh.
Okay.
Giving or receiving?
Giving or
Oh,
receiving?
never mind.
Who you're giving
Hashtag
blowjobs
camp,
on the
hashtag
road?
camp. That's how I learned how to battle kill new.
So on my podcast, I was talking about, how Bert, you made a concerted effort to learn how to pleasure a woman.
Yeah.
Like, it was a certain point in our marriage where you're like, I feel like I'm out of my depth a little bit, and I need to do some research and figure this out. And you did, and it was such a gracious, caring thing to do. It was a really great partner thing to do. And I read this book about how to give blowjobs that was written by a gay man, which I figured that guy would probably know what he was talking about. But I don't think a lot of women do that kind of research, because I don't think a lot of women enjoy giving blowjobs. So there's another disconnect, right? That you guys love them so much.
It's a worshiping.
Huh?
It's worshiping.
It's worshiping?
Yeah, it's a worship of the man's.
You are such a misogynistic patriarch. I can't believe that I'm married to you sometimes. It's a worshiping?
Wait, is that bad?
Yes, it's terrible.
It's awesome.
Steven, do you feel like a blowjob is a worship?
Um,
You can say
No,
yes if it is.
I don't know that I'd go so far as to say it's worship, but there's something really like giving, and
Okay.
It is a complete and total selfless act for a woman to give a guy a blowjob.
Well-
it is like there's something about it where you go, I'm gonna take time to caress and love your favorite thing you have on your body. My favorite thing on my body is my dick
No shit.
and my mouth. My mouth's number 2. Okay, let's go.
wait,
I don't know. I'm in a
this went
silly
weird.
fucking mood. I feel like I got high last night.
No, you didn't.
I don't think it's worshiping, but there's something about when a woman's down there doing that, and the eyes and the connection. When it's, again, let's put aside okay, she's phoning it in, kind of like half handy, half kind of slurpy, and you're just like,
Yeah, like a prison blowjob. Where
you're
you're like,
like-
hand.
Yeah.
Oh, my mouth's down here too.
But and it's actually not just about blowjobs, but when a woman is completely into what she's doing for you,
Yeah.
just like I'm sure when a man's completely into what he's doing for a woman,
Yep.
there's something really exciting about that.
Right.
I think that's important. And
I don't think that women. Not to speak for Leanne, but I don't think I've ever met a chick that was into blowjobs the way I'm into oral sex. Like, I love it. It gives me. You just held my hand right there. It gives me some sort of pleasure.
Just wait.
What to do it? Like, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but I don't love giving blowjobs.
Yeah, I can tell by your breathiness. Just
Oh, come on. It's my keg-like body that prevents me from breathing.
switching arms. I'm gonna get a scrunchie.
Shut up. I'm going to get a scrunchie. But I think my perspective when I want to give him a blowjob is that I want him to get the treat that he loves the most.
Right.
Right?
I love treats.
But I know you love treats, but you would take a treat all the time. So then it makes me feel like when I give the treat that I have to give the treat again right away. You know, that the treat is now expected. I don't feel that way anymore.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Now,
So partly with blowjobs, you feel like if I bend at the knee too often, everyone's going to make me bend at the knee.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Well, that also is because Bert has a bit of an addictive personality.
You think?
So,
I love treats. I would.
but I'm used to, you know, if let's say 1 out of 3 times that Cathy and I are together, she is just 100% in.
Right.
Just super, super connected.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. Then it's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And if I had that super connected version every time,
Yeah.
I could go a little bit longer.
I see.
Right? Like
But you get so excited.
I'm not like, oh, it's got to be that again. It's got to be that again. It's got to be that again. And
Right.
I certainly have a bit of an addictive personality, but I if there was that blowjob dropped in there every
Right.
so often, I would just, it's kind of back to that chase. I would look for and wait for, how do I get that again? How do I get that again?
Right.
What do I do? What did I do last time that
Right.
made that happen?
Right. You know what I think is really hard, I think, for people with sex from our generation, maybe? I don't feel like people are, and myself included to some extent, are super generous. You know, are super generous with what they're willing to give the other person to make the other person happy. Does that make sense? I don't know that we're a super generous group of folks. We're very much like, I have this boundary. And we were taught that in a healthy way, I think. But I'm not going to, I don't feel like doing that. I'm not doing that. And sometimes maybe you should.
Whereas like in the 1930s, they would have been like, well, this is what is expected of me.
Perhaps, and that's not healthy either. But, because like, did you guys know anything about your parents' sex lives?
No.
No?
Nope.
Nothing at all?
Thank goodness.
No? I knew more than I would have ever liked to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a bit different back in those days. What were your impressions of your parent? Like, what did you think as a child it would be like to be married? Was sex even part of it?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know that I thought of. Yeah, I guess I. I mean, the young ignorant version of me probably thought, I was gonna have super hot wife with big boobs and we're gonna have sex every day, and I don't know. Like that was probably the 15-year-old version of me.
Right.
But as I got older, I don't know that I thought about marriage like that.
Right. Do you feel like you took a complete departure from your parents' marriage?
I did, yeah. I remember.
I don't know if it's a complete departure.
I don't know about my parents' sex life. I don't care to. I remember thinking when you got older, you became less attracted to each other and you just stopped having sex and you ran a family.
Okay.
I don't know that my parents did that.
Right.
My parents splitting up in college, I think that formed my opinion of what marriage was someone did something the other one didn't like, or they just grew apart and then they just split up. And that's when you had sex, is when you split up. I don't know. This makes me really uncomfortable.
I don't
It
know
does?
Really uncomfortable.
I don't know about sex, but my parents were, especially my father, was super loving and doting over my mother.
He was.
He was always
Aw.
like they owned a small business, and as that got a little bit more successful, she was still like doing lots of paperwork, and he would always just want to be with her. And she's like, I got to do this. She would go shopping. He's like, I'll go with you. He always wanted to be around her.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So
What a loss for her when he passed.
oh, huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why she's the mess that she is.
Well.
But the
What if she had just figured out how to use podcasting and was like, hey, Steven's on here.
yeah, you want to know what?
Let me take a listen.
Sure. No.
She still
no
can't
chance of
figure out how to use her Kindle I gave her for her birthday 2 years ago.
Oh my
so
God.
I think you're okay.
No, let's not. Yeah. Right. So
We should dedicate an entire podcast just to her. Just do 100 episodes. She would never find out.
right.
Anyway, you were saying. I apologize. You were
No,
saying.
that's good. I don't know about how their sex life was, but I know about how their like
Love life.
loving each other
Right.
life was, right?
Right.
Like she was very subservient and loving, but he was completely infatuated with her.
Aw. So you're the same as Kathy as far as that's
so I
concerned.
definitely modeled that
Right.
unconsciously. Yeah.
I recognize things my dad would do to my mom that I do. Like, my dad was affectionate to my mom when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was affectionate to my mom when I was a kid. I don't think I ever really saw my mom show my dad any affection.
No.
No.
I know. I never saw affection either because my parents divorced when I was 7, and my mom's relationships were very sexually driven. So I wasn't really in that room, so to speak. So I didn't really see a lot of affection. And then my dad, was with Jan, but when I came to see my dad, it was just me and my dad. So I never really saw couples for extended periods till I was quite old. And my grandparents were not affectionate with each other. One set was like borderline hated each other, and the other set borderline hated each other. So I didn't really see that kind of affection in a marriage. That's interesting because I know you complain a lot that I'm not affectionate, and I really didn't have that modeled. I really didn't.
Yeah, Kathy either. Kathy is not as affectionate as I am. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine how her father and mother were. I don't imagine that they were too affectionate to each other.
I don't think Leanne's affectionate to me because she feels like if she is, then it leads to something.
Yep.
Sometimes that is very true. Is that if I sit in your lap, you're definitely expecting me to have sex. And I'm like, I just want to sit in your lap. I was more affectionate earlier in our relationship.
Way more. But you wanted to have sex more.
I did. And then, when you have kids and shit starts piling up, it's different. It's just different.
I think it's the analogy of like, God, my analogies are really fucking lacking today.
It's the guy without a feet.
No, it's the idea that when you got no meat.
Yeah.
And and someone throws you a scrap or you smell something grilling.
Right.
You're like, oh, I want to fucking eat that. But if you got a lot of meat and you
Right.
smell something grilling, it's very easy to go, hey, what are you grilling?
Right.
As opposed to going like, I need that now. I need that meat.
Right.
Like if you give someone, if you're having a lot of sex,
Right.
then affection can happen without. And I think this was my argument the whole time. Was that if you give me affection and give me a lot of sex also, then a lot of times we can do affection.
They can be
the way
mutually exclusive.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can come up and be affectionate, and I won't expect sex.
That analogy derailed, but
Yeah, my bad.
But
the analogy
But I
podcast.
actually get it, and I agree.
Yeah,
right?
I understand.
Like I've said to Kathy, if we were on, if we got more sex on the reg,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't always want it. So
Yeah.
she would be able to be affectionate or not be affectionate, or it could, sway.
Right.
And it wouldn't matter because really the biggest need was being fulfilled.
Was being met. So now Sam said on that podcast that she's been to a bunch of seminars about sex and whatnot, and most of them say that you should schedule it. Like ours essentially is scheduled. It's either Monday or Tuesday because he's home Monday, Tuesday. So even though it's not like at 9 a.m., it's still kind of like scheduled in a certain way. Now, when he's home for longer stints, it's not at all.
Yep.
But I wonder, what do you think about that? Do you think that would work? Like if you go every Wednesdays, Kathy, every Wednesday.
That'd be cool.
I would be fine with
And
that.
I bet it would make affection and other stuff. If you told me at a certain hour every week I could have it,
Yeah.
then I think I would exhale.
I think that's what Sam's point was, is that if you know it's coming, then you relax.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Well, I can't enjoy a vacation with you if I don't bang one out.
Yeah,
right
I
out
know.
The gates.
I know.
And have the promise of one more time.
I know. If we're in a hotel room, it is happening.
Yep.
If we're in a hotel room
yeah.
for 4 hours, it is happening.
No, it's best before you unpack to just get one in the books.
But
And then
One of the books. I love that phrase.
But that's
One of the
true for
books.
everybody. I mean, when we were in Vegas, one of the couples in Vegas was like late to breakfast, and that's why, because they were working it out. You know, where you
yeah,
you know, that's why.
Oh yeah.
I
mean,
figured.
No, they said.
Yeah.
You didn't hear they said it, and I was like, okay, that's what I figured too. So
Oh God, I want to go back to that. I want to go day drinking. Are we gonna party tonight?
I am not day drinking again ever.
What is the what is? It's funny when you started talking about grilling in that terrible analogy. I was like, oh, I wonder what's for lunch.
I know what is for lunch.
We go to
What
the
are we
Let's get
smoking?
the Hayslips. We'll go down to fucking Chinatown and get some great something.
You know
things
Tom
that they
will if
know.
you ask him. So sex before marriage. Can you even remember? You've been married
Yeah.
for like forever.
I have. Well, no, we've just been together forever.
You've been together for 20 years?
We've been married for not quite, almost 20 years. But
That's
we were
crazy.
together for 7 years before that. With a little stint in the middle where we kind of like separated to try to figure out stuff.
Who we were.
Well,
what
we were
doing.
growing. And either we were growing apart or we're going to grow together,
Right.
which I think happens to a lot of people. And if we got married earlier,
Yeah.
which I thought would end up happening, pardon, I thought that when, she graduated, I graduated a year later, and I figured if we were still together in about a year and a half, 2 years, I would propose. And then I didn't. And then it put strain on the relationship. But I think it was because I didn't know where we were going. I mean, we were young. We were early 20s, mid 20s. And had we gotten engaged early, we would have gotten fucking divorced.
You think so?
Early.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have time to figure shit out. So
Right.
I was in grad school. She was in grad school. Things were changing. Who we are were changing. We need to figure out if we were going to be better versions of ourselves with each other, without. So I actually moved out. Oh, it was a mess. It was a mess. It was so, drama, sadness. But it was the best thing we did because then we got back together.
Right. It was necessary. Like growing
But
pains.
I still remember sex before marriage. You mean with Kathy? Or
Yes, I do
before
mean-
even Kathy? Yeah.
I do mean with Kathy.
Yeah, I remember.
Tell me about the ones before Kathy.
Oh, that was college, so that was a lot of fun.
How many? Like, what's the over under? Basketball team, football team, baseball roster,
I did
golf,
Golf.
doubles tennis.
I did.
That analogy's doing good.
No, that's pretty good. It is going to be a weird day with you,
I
huh?
am in a fucking goofy mood.
You are so goofy.
I'm in a really fucking weird mood. Tom and Sandy had me laughing so fucking hard
Oh
last
my
night.
God. I wish you'd been there,
Steven,
Steven.
are we
What'd you
all
guys do
partying?
last
Are we all
night?
partying there tonight?
We were at the Hispanics.
Knew it. We called it.
All we got to do is invite the Stepanics over too, and then we can get you every time we need you.
We had a really good time. Wish you'd been there.
That would have been fun.
Oh shit, let me see what I wrote.
No, I want to hear about let's talk about, like, what size roster did we have? I had a very thin basketball team is my sexual experience.
Yeah.
Like a light bench. They didn't have a deep bench. It was over the starting. We had a starting team and a couple people riding the bench. It was my sexual history.
Yeah.
What were you? Football?
I was significantly
Like a
bigger.
starting football team, or
between high school and college. I was pretty
You're pretty active.
active.
But that's
Really?
good. You know
Yeah.
what? The thing is,
And maybe that's why I'm okay with like where I am now with Kathy, and
Right.
still wanting more and still having a little bit of the chase.
Right.
Because I put in some good court time.
You put in some work.
Jesus.
You did 2 a days.
Yeah, especially for like a non-athletic, regular looking Jewish kid. I did okay.
You
okay.
did the football team, but you did the team picture where everyone's there.
Right?
Coaches, strength coach.
Right.
I
Trainer.
love my analogies today.
They're so awesome. Well, I think what I was saying in my podcast is I've started dating my first boyfriend. I was 15, and I met Bert at 31. So that's like 16 years of dating.
Yep.
So I didn't date 2 people in 16 years, but I got a lot of that out of my system too because I'd already dated so many guys, and I was not a promiscuous person. I was a monogamous person, but I did have several boyfriends from age fucking 15 to 31. 16 years is...
You lost your virginity at 15?
Yeah. No, I was actually 14, but yeah. Yeah, what? No, I guess I was 15.
14.
It was 15, 14.
15, 14. Pick a fucking number.
I don't know. I don't remember. I was a sophomore in high school. So whatever I was as a sophomore.
That would be
A year older than, it'd be 15.
14.
It'd be 15. Yeah, because I was 16, 17. Yeah, I graduated at 17. But I had the best experience. My first experience was the most loving, sweet, cared for. He was the sweetest.
Wrap it up.
He was such a sweet guy, and it was his
get
first
to it.
time too.
Yeah.
So, what were your first experiences like?
You go.
Mine were horrific.
Really?
Why were they horrific?
They were horrific.
Do you not want to talk about them?
No, I'll talk about anything.
I know.
That's my problem is I talk about everything. Yeah, it was traumatic.
Why?
I couldn't smell the smell of Benetton colors. It would make me throw up.
What? Oh, the cologne. Were you wearing it or was she?
She was. If I smell Benetton colors to this day, I get physically ill.
Talk about a sense memory.
Benetton
Oh my
colors makes me physically ill. Physically fucking ill.
I know what you're getting for Father's Day.
Ugh, I'm gonna gag. So I've told the story. Everyone's heard the story of my actual losing the virginity. It was bad. I've told you, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, let's all walk you through it. Someone get ready to animate this.
Oh, boy.
I was 17 years old. I was wearing my varsity
I remember the story now.
Jesuit pullover jacket with my name Kreischer on, my number on it, blue. I had a hat on.
Oh, my God.
We went to me and my buddy Jeff took our 2 girlfriends to one of his girlfriend's father's divorce house. Her father got a divorce. He was in Mexico. We took him we got a case of Natty Light, and we got the movie Pet Sematary.
Ugh.
And so halfway through, me and her went back to the bedroom. Jeff we got 2 condoms at a Chevron.
Oh, my God.
And I went to put one on, and I realized I'd never put one on before. So as I looked at it, it was all rolled up. I unrolled it. She's totally naked. By the way, my pants are at my ankles. My jacket's still on. My hat's still on.
Oh, my God. Your jacket and hat.
Talk about getting a business.
You're so romantic.
It was almost like, imagine if you were robbing a bank, but you had not prepared for it. And you're like, oh, fuck. I have my jersey on. Oh, shit. Like, you just didn't think your way through the bank robbery. And you're just showing up going, I know I got to rob a bank. I've seen it done a lot. But you're like, oh, fuck. I didn't think how I'd rob a bank. You know? And so
Oh, my God.
I unrolled the condom entirely. I went to slide it over, and as I went to slide it over, it inflated because there was air trapped in it. So now I'm making balloon animals at the bottom of a bed with this condom and my dick. I throw that condom off to the side. By the way, I am actually keeping back. I'm not even joking. I will tell you there's information I withhold in this story.
Yeah.
Because it's too unbelievable.
Why? Like you don't have any stories where there's something unbelievable going on?
No one would believe what I'm about to tell.
Okay. Your dick exploded.
So shortly thereafter. So I go back out, I pull my pants up very quick. They're at my ankles. I go back, I go to Jeff, I get the other condom, the one he was going to use. He gives it to me. I go back. She's still naked on the bed.
What's she doing this whole time? Like filing her nails?
No, just
What?
like pretending to be horny or whatever. I don't know.
My
I don't fucking know,
God.
Leanne. I really don't remember.
In your imagination, she was pretending to be
I don't remember.
Maybe she was horny. Maybe that was real.
because women really writhe with horniness. That's what happens.
So then I get back in. I get same situation, same seats on the ride back. I sit where I was before. Pants go back down to my ankles. Mm-hmm. I now think to myself, oh, pinch reservoir tip. And I remember now.
Oh, I learned this in health class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put the condom on. I remember putting the condom on it felt good. I was like, ooh, that felt good. I was like, I've never put a condom on. You don't walk around with condoms on like.
You didn't practice.
No one puts a condom on, then looks in the mirror, and go, that'll look nice one day. And so I get on top of her, 1 pump, 2 pumps, and it's over.
Oops.
It's over. And it's over so quick, it catches me off guard, and I look at her, and she says to me, are you going to put it in?
Oh.
And I realized my dick's between her butt cheek and a bed. I didn't even fuck her. I fucked a mattress.
Oh.
And then I start having sex. Then, by the way, I've already had sex.
You're done.
I'm done. And that's when I lose my virginity. Now that I'm done. And it is a lot like, imagine if I said, hey, do you want to go on a hike? And you're like, yeah, real quick, let me jump in this river with my boots real quick before we go on this 9-mile hike. That should be enjoyable. And I was like, I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's going to make it fun.
Did you have a blister?
No, I didn't have a blister.
I think your wet boots would give you a blister, right?
It was like you know those outfits they wear, the crab fishermen wear so they don't get wet?
Yeah.
Imagine if someone was like, hey, put it on. Now I'm going to put this hose inside you and fill it up with water. Now we're going to pull in the pots. It was horrific. So I had sex. I didn't enjoy it.
What happened? Well, wait, what happened the second time? When
Hold on.
did you have a second time? Did you have a second time?
I had a second
when
time.
did it start getting better?
I had a second and a third time with that person.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were good. But here's the. I mean, obviously, it felt good. It felt good the second time and the third time. But what fucked me up was the amount of guilt I had, and how much I realized immediately I was not ready for this.
Oh.
That night I got in bed and I was like, I didn't think this through. I felt like once again with the analogy, I felt like the young kid in Compton who joins a gang and commits a murder and then gets home and goes, I never wanted to do any of that shit.
Well, that's an extreme analogy.
I just saw a movie. But like you know, like the kid that joins a gang,
murder,
does
okay.
a drive by, kills someone, and then realizes I don't like. I feel like everyone, like I realized I didn't need to lose my virginity. I wasn't in the rush that everyone else was. I was only put on the timeline that all my friends were on.
It was peer pressure.
Well, it wasn't even peer pressure. It was just like that's what everyone was doing. Mm-hmm. Everyone was losing their virginity. You didn't want to be the last guy to be a virgin
because you're a type A socially.
Yeah, and so I remember laying in bed that night and going, what if I get her pregnant?
That was my experience too.
Mine
was so like that's what I ended with was I feel guilty. I'm definitely too young to have done that. And what if I get her pregnant? What if what if she's pregnant? Like, what do I do?
Did you not use contraception?
No, I didn't. No. We didn't even plan. We didn't even plan to have sex. It just kind of happened. We were fooling around.
She passed out.
yeah.
Bird.
She took way too many.
It's a David Tell joke. So we're having doggy style. Not what I planned for. It's just the way she passed out.
Oh my God.
We'd fool around, and I'd go up. I had this girlfriend I had go over her house after school, hang out, whatever, and the fooling around just kept getting more intense and more intense, and to the point that we would be totally naked fooling around, and we were not.
How old were you?
We were 13.
Oh, you were little.
Holy shit, Stephen.
So, all of a sudden, it just finally ended up with, that fits in there just fine. And
hey, look at that!
It's like
crazy.
It's like doing a puzzle.
It's like doing a
Your
puzzle.
chocolate in my peanut butter. Right. Your peanut butter's in my chocolate. I'm killing it today.
You are. Jeez.
So so that was the first time they were like, oops, oh my God, what do we do? Oh, and I felt terrible. And I told a buddy of mine that night, and what did I do? Am I gonna get her pregnant? I don't, so stupid. Because
you have a family of 13.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well,
yeah.
And there's probably no way I had any swimmers that would have worked anyway.
Right.
But still, you're just nervous about what you hear.
Did you pull out?
No. I didn't know.
You just raw dogged it and blew a load in her. You're like, the troops are hitting the beach. Captain, the water's too deep. Doesn't matter. Troops are leaving the... Oh, my God. I can't imagine that.
Well, you probably hadn't had that health class yet, had you?
We had, I mean, at that point, we had one, but yeah. So that was what, after 7th grade? Yeah.
Yeah.
Between 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
Yeah.
I don't
and then we
think
just
that's-
kept doing it. We were like, well, we did it once at this point, and we were more careful.
Right.
But then we just kept doing it for a few months because
Right.
it was good. It was fun. It felt good.
Yeah.
You're like, well,
13.
I already feel guilty. We already felt guilty. The guilt's gone, so let's just
Keep doing that.
keep doing that.
I didn't enjoy sex. This is going to sound like horseshit. I didn't fully enjoy sex until I met you. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Because I have a magic vagina.
It's the velveteen pussy. It's because I never wanted to have kids with these people.
Right.
I never wanted to start my life. I never wanted the guilt of it's a little bit of Catholic guilt, but more importantly, the fear of the responsibility of having kids. With that feeling I had at 17 years old when I laid in my bed in my parents' house and I thought, what if I got her pregnant? Am I ready for that? And I was like, I am definitely not ready for that. By the way, that stopped me from having sex a great deal.
Right.
I didn't have sex a lot because I didn't want to get anyone pregnant. And I just thought that was such a possibility. I thought, I mean, I was the person that believed the stories about about the werewolf in the woods.
Right.
Like all the folklore they told us about sex, I bought into all of it.
Right.
I bought into hook, line, and sinker. If you had unprotected sex, you were going to get AIDS.
Yeah, right.
If you had unprotected sex, she would definitely get pregnant. And by the way, if you had a condom, they weren't 100%. You
Right.
couldn't trust condoms.
Right.
And so here I am going like...
And you're also, people don't really realize this, you're a dichotomy in that you are a rule follower in certain areas.
I'm a rule follower, but I also believe rules don't apply to me.
Yes, but in that area, I would imagine you say, well, sex is for having kids, and I don't want to have kids with you, so I don't want to have sex with you, but I should have sex with you because I feel like I should have sex.
And I wanted to have sex with them, but like, I was so... I remember my college girlfriend I'd have sex with, and then I would white knuckle the month. Every month.
Why? You only had sex once a month?
No, but we'd have sex, but I would white knuckle it until she got her period. And then once she got her...
I see.
And
You
by the
were
way,
constantly nervous that the condom broke.
constantly
Yeah.
nervous that she got pregnant. Constantly. I remember one time she was late and she told me, and I was like, fuck. I remember going like, I'm having such a great time in college. I really don't want to have kids. And I was having such a great time that I think part of me, it was the reason people go, oh, you were the party animal in college. You must have had lots of sex. I was like, no. I was having so much fun. I didn't want to have sex. I didn't want to have fucking kids.
Right.
I remember hearing guys talking about having unprotected sex going like, you're ready for a family? That bothered. AIDS was like, I'm not even joking. Sophomore year in college, I had heard so many stories of my friends using unprotected sex that I literally thought, man, I really played my cards right. In 5 years, they're all going to be dead from AIDS. And I'll be running this world. I'll have a pick of all these people.
I'll be running this world. This is like The Stand from Stephen King,
Yeah.
where a plague comes and there's 5 people left in the whole nation.
I'm not
Right?
even joking. I actually am upset that at the way they and maybe it was just me. Maybe I just heard things intensely. I thought everyone was getting AIDS.
Well, it was kind of a big media. I mean, I could see where you would kind of derive that
It's
from the way it was scary back in those days.
I mean,
the way it was portrayed in the media.
I actually feel betrayed.
You feel betrayed?
But about safe sex. They should have been a lot clearer about that. Like, now that I know how many people are having a hard time getting pregnant, I'm like, hold on, where were those numbers when I was 18?
Right.
I mean, obviously, I think my personality dials into that a little bit of panic. I think that panic fits into my brain a little better. But like, I really thought I thought I could name guys. I can name you a list right now of guys that I was like, oh, they're definitely dying of AIDS.
Aren't you glad that's no longer a problem?
No longer a thing.
That's so
thank
scary.
God. Thank God. But
So, well, I have a question though for you.
Me?
Yes. So Max is how old?
14, almost 15.
Have you talked to him about sex?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
So, actually, there was
First of all, I cannot imagine him having sex.
Do you remember a couple of years
Jesus,
ago?
you did not need to put that into my head.
Well, I can't remember a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, I told you, I told you guys that there was a conversation. He was definitely confused about something.
Yes.
Because somebody made there was some comment on TV, and he's like, "Oh, that's should I be watching this? Is this a sexual comment?" I'm like, "No, that's not a sexual comment." He's like, "But isn't that? But doesn't that go in the?" He was so confused about what that comment was referring to that all of a sudden I realized we're having a conversation and he's connecting sex and anal, and I'm like, and this was like this was like 5th grade, like, so, his brain's going 100 miles an hour, and I was so proud of how I was like, whoa, slow down, buddy. Like, you're mixing up things.
Right.
And I asked a couple of very succinct questions.
Right.
Without getting out over my skis on, like,
Nice
all of a
analogy.
sudden his fucking eyes going, what did you just tell me?
Right.
Right. Because there's shit he does not want to know yet. He does not want to grow up yet. Right.
Right.
So I didn't want to go too far. And he's like, oh my God, that's what that means. So there's been small conversations, but he gets embarrassed pretty quickly.
He does.
So yeah, Lily's easier to have a conversation with. I feel like I could have a conversation with Lily easier and be like, look, stay away from dicks.
Right.
Right.
Super easy.
And that will be.
Dicks have poison in
But
them.
now, tell me. This may be too personal, and if it is, just tell me.
Hold on. I all I can say is I can't imagine the Birds and the Bees talks with Max, only because I was there when he found out Santa Claus wasn't real. Do you remember when my uncle called?
Or
as
he
Santa?
thought Santa Claus was real because they're Jewish.
That's right. He thought all of a sudden Santa Claus was real. I remember that so vividly when my Uncle Pete, for those of you listening, my Uncle Pete would call up every Christmas Eve. We'd give him a list of all the kids in the room.
And what they wanted
and
for
what
Christmas.
they wanted. And he would, and by the way, it was midnight his time in Tampa.
Florida, right.
So he was wasted
Fucking
Christmas.
Totally.
Hammered
Hammered
fucking
every.
time.
Oh, ho, 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 ho,
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Is there a Max in there? And I remember Max goes, hold on.
Dad, on the porch right now.
I need to talk to you. I need to find out if this is real.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fucking with my religion? Like,
Well, because your uncle went, is there a Max and Lily there? Happy Hanukkah. And his eyes almost fell out of his head. He's like, wait, how did Santa Claus know I'm Jewish?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, how does he even know me?
I need to know right now if this is real. I remember that so vividly.
He's a precious little being.
So wait, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So-
that's just one of my favorite Max Fromkin moments.
Now is the time when, like, or maybe it was earlier, that boners start showing up and, like, masturbation starts happening. Any of that going on, you think?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Not you.
Yeah, Steven, do you jack off still?
No, I mean Max. And how do you deal with that? I mean, how do you do? I don't have boys.
You take a boy into a bedroom and you show him.
It
Like Michael Jackson.
makes you do it. You
Allegedly.
make him do it to you, and then he knows how, right? No.
That's what Michael Jackson did. Allegedly. We'll find that out tonight.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So I would imagine, like, I've been sort of supportive with certain comments
Right.
about stuff, but not hitting it right on the. I don't want to embarrass him,
Right.
and I don't want to hit it right on the head, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm, but he's got a computer in his room now, so a little nervous about that.
Yeah, you go through his
Right.
cookies. See his history.
He's smarter than that.
Really?
Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm not. I've had it on my phone pop up when the girls. I remember one time the girls grabbed my phone,
know.
and Georgia was like, I think there's something on here I shouldn't be looking.
Yeah.
And it was fucking sex.
Well, I mean, I just wonder because, my mother was so overt about sex that it turned me off, about certain part about masturbation and orgasm. I was like, that is all bad because it was just too overt. But the opposite, I think, is true. Not that you're doing this, but I mean, in general, the opposite is true also, is if you don't talk about it at all, how does it affect them? I don't know. Because it was so on the table for me.
Nobody talked about it in my house growing up.
Right.
Not at all.
No one talked about it in our house. The only conversation we ever had was in our driveway. We were backing out, and Annie and I were arguing about how babies were made. All I remember is my dad going, I'm sorry, wait, how do you think they're made? And I go, clearly, you pee in the woman's mouth.
Stupid ass.
I tried that. It's not how it works.
I hope you were in second grade when you had that conversation.
I wonder why pregnancy is
pee
difficult.
in the woman's mouth. Your dad must have laughed his ass off.
I remember the day I was like, I realized babies were made, and I was like, oh, that makes total sense.
How funny. But I wonder, all that's happening for boys and girls is completely natural and normal and is happening to all of his friends at the same time. And I
didn't know. I thought I was the only one that jacked off.
Well, that's my point, is that I wonder if they have nowadays, if kids nowadays understand that they're not just the only person getting a boner. And, so one of our friends' kids made a vagina.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Made a prosthetic vagina. So clearly he's figuring it out.
One of our friends' kids.
Yeah, somebody we know.
Yeah.
Somebody we know that has a boy around
I haven't heard that story
age.
yet. That's hysterical.
So then you go, well, he's clearly Googled a couple things and figured out how to take care of that.
Fifi.
But what he needs to know is that that's normal. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
I didn't make a fucking vagina until I was like 25.
What?
Yeah.
Did you weird science it? Did you?
No, I read an article in Rolling Stone about this guy, about how they jacked off in prison. And there's a thing, I think it's called a Fifi. And it's basically what that kid had done. It's how you can, and so I never did that until I was 25. I remember the first time I did it, I was like, holy shit. And then the next time, everything after that. And then they started making fleshlights. Fleshlights were pretty good. But I thought, when I first masturbated, I thought that meant I was gay. Because I did that. And no one talked about it. As a matter of fact, at our all-boys Catholic high school, they would lure you into talking about it. And if you admitted you did it, they'd call you gay. There was a guy in our class.
Which is insane. That's crazy.
I found out that when I found out that other people did it, other guys did it, it was a weight off my shoulders like you could never imagine. I really thought there was something wrong with me, that I was a pervert, that I couldn't stop, that I was gross, I was dirty. I could not. And I remember Obi and I were on the beach in senior year, getting ready to go to college, and he was like, we were drunk and we were smoking a cigarette, and he was like, hey, I need to talk to you about something. I was like, what's up? He was like, do you know that thing that everyone says that they don't do? And I was like, immediately I knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, yep. And he goes, do you do it? I was like, I don't know. And he was like, because I do it. And I feel like if I knew other people did it, I wouldn't feel so bad about it. And I was like, I do it too.
That's a healthy conversation.
Yeah.
Right. That is like, that's like putting it out there and just trying to clear it, make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
And then literally a month later, I'm in a fraternity and everyone's like, I'm going to go upstairs and jack off. And you're like, huh? You're that free? I'm going to go jack off. I'm going to jack off. And then you guys want to go get something to eat? And everyone was like, I was like, all of a sudden, and then the people that I had been around that had all said that they never did it were like, oh, I jack off all the time. I'm going to jack off real quick. Who wants to jack off?
Oh my God. Oh my God. That must have been a dirty frat house. Like a crime scene. Blue light crime scene place. Crazy.
Fifi. Invented in prison, a Fifi towel folded twice with the open end of a rubber glove sticking out. After being rolled at the end of the glove, then stretched over the top. Then it's finished by pulling a sock over the opposing end to hold the glove in place.
What?
Can then be ran under warm water and placed in between a mattress to create a real-life effect. Used in a
Jesus.
sentence, Joey was sent to prison. It's odd that they picked Joey. Joey was sent to prison after not having relations with a woman for some time. His cellmate made him a fifi.
What a nice cellmate.
What a good cellmate.
What a good
As
guy.
opposed to his cellmate banged him in the ass.
Right?
Hey, man, I made you a fifi. I left it under your pillow. Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I really was fucked up with sex, I think.
I think it's easy to become fucked up, and I think it's super simple to not. Like if you just have somebody who really is just a supportive parent,
Yeah.
just sit down with you and go, this is totally normal. Because, the other day, you definitely know this story. Isla came and sat on my lap, which never happens. And we're talking about just nothing, just what have you. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this conversation, she goes, what's a boner? And I went, well, I tried to explain it to her as...
She knew what an erection was, right?
No.
Yeah, she did from health class.
From health, right.
But she didn't know the term
The term,
boner.
yeah.
So I was like, this happens to boys at a certain age, and sometimes it's not in their control. They'll just be in science class, and boom,
Sometimes
they get a
it's
boner.
not under control.
Well, I mean,
it was never up until like...
but I mean, sometimes it's an arousal thing, and sometimes it's like, oh, hello, I just have a boner.
I'm sorry,
Am I right
hang
about
on.
that?
No, it's never under our control. I've never been in charge of my dick. My dick has an independent council.
Are you serious?
A council of elders that decide.
You can't just go, okay, we're not going to do that right now, and
No.
like, calm it down.
And even if you do, it takes a bit. You gotta you're like talking them off the ledge.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not a.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it was like bro.
It's negotiation. It's not a
instant.
hey, do this now.
Oh yeah, I remember there were times that I definitely not wanted to get a boner.
Well, I explained to her that it was pretty involuntary, and it didn't have. At this age, it's like it's hormonal almost. Like all of a sudden, this testosterone is rushing through their body, and all of a sudden, this thing's happening because they never had that much testosterone before. So it's like I explained it. You told me I did this. I fucked this up, but I was like, you know how you get your periods because you have hormone shifts, and the hormones make you have periods. Well, boys have hormone shifts too, and one of the things that happens with their hormones is that they get erections, and a boner was. I was like, what? Why'd you ask that question? She said because this girl was laughing at a boy, and she said, so-and-so has a boner. And I went, oh my God, that was terrible. And you should never do that, because that boner probably had nothing to do with anybody or anything that was actually happening. It was
Guy
just
stood
something
up.
with his body.
Guy stood up in 9th grade. Teacher made him stand up, and he had a boner. It was an all-boys Catholic high school, and someone hit it with a ruler.
Oh my God.
Smack! I fucking laughed so goddamn hard.
I bet it hurt though.
Yeah.
Right?
The last unwanted boner I got, I was doing this is right around when Georgia was born.
Yeah.
We were doing a sex scene in that movie Alpha Male. Remember that movie Alpha Male? I had to do a sex scene with the girl, and I think the girl took her top off. And I was wearing pants, and I think I had my shirt off, but I had pants on. And I was supposed to get in bed with her and grind, and fake having sex. And I don't wear underwear. And so I got in the bed with her, and she was in her panties. And I went, hey. And I didn't expect her to be, I thought she'd have pants on. She was in her panties with no shirt. And I'm like, huh. And then they're like, all right, start having sex. And then she was kissing me and everything. And I was like, hey, I was like, I feel like I know this is acting, but I feel like I'm cheating. And then my dick's like, hey, we're fucking her. Hey, I think we're gonna fuck her. And I'm like, hey man, shut the fuck up. And I was like, and I had to stop. And everyone's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm gonna need a second. Hey, and I was trying to not get a boner, but I was literally like, sweet. In this scene, and they're like, Bert, just fuck her. And I was like, I know. And she was like, come on. And I was like, guys, I'm not. Oh.
That would be really hard, I would imagine. No pun intended there either. Really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
That's pretty common though.
I feel like I learned a lot about myself in this podcast.
You do?
Yeah. I had
Did you
really
learn a lot about
fucked up-
women at all?
The best sex I ever had
probably
in my
not.
life.
Because I wanted to learn about men, really.
The best sex I ever had in my life, ever, was in Solvang with you in the shower when I was shooting that
Animal Planet.
Animal Planet show, and we said we were gonna try to have another kid. That was the first time in my entire life. Nah, not first time, but that was the first time in my life that I was having sex to have a child.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is how it's supposed to be done.
How funny.
And I had no guilt. I had no. I'm sure I'd had no guilt or shame well before that with you.
Right.
But I remember distinctly going, now we can take the guilt. There's no guilt.
Right.
There's no shame.
Right.
There's not. This is how you're supposed to do it. I remember that vividly. It was in the shower.
I don't remember even that at all.
I remember it because you said, we started fooling around, and you said, you don't have to wear a condom. And I went, what? And you went, well, I mean, we're going to try to have another kid, right? And I was like, hold on. Yeah. And you were like, yeah, let's just have sex. And I went, hold on. We're trying to have another kid? And you were like, well, yeah, we want to have another kid. And I was like, oh. I remember that. That's the best sex I've ever had in my life. I remember that sex more than any sex. I mean, I'm sure I could go through and tell you about, but that one time in the shower.
How funny.
We had ordered a crib from downstairs to be delivered up. We had just got in the crib. We put George in the crib down for a nap. Me and you got in the shower, and I had stitches in my hand, and I had to keep my hand up. But that one time.
So the great sex was with you,
Dude.
Like
your
this.
hand up.
Doesn't matter.
All
Doesn't
I
matter.
remember is going, this is so horrible to say, and I'm so sorry that I know people will be offended by this, but I went, this is how God meant for us to have sex.
You're such a real religious little boy. You're a rule follower. I swear to God.
Now when I have it, it's just great.
Yeah.
It's
just great. Not like the best, just great.
No, but but there's no guilt attached to it.
No, why should there be any guilt?
Oh.
So, you and Kathy had a hard time having babies, right?
Yeah, we were trying for about 2 years.
Right.
And
Was there anything wrong or just not?
no, everything was open.
Everything's fine.
Everybody swam well.
Right. Just the timing wasn't working.
Yeah, we don't know. So this was back in Massachusetts. We even went to a fertility, and they checked everything out, and everything was good.
Right.
And then we moved out here, and so we went to another fertility guy out here, and within 6 weeks she was pregnant.
Wow.
So it might have just been, the stress of life in sort of flux of, she had a stressful job, and who knows.
She did have a stressful job, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. But then the second one was, surprise. So we didn't.
Oh, you weren't even trying to have Lily?
No. Like Max was 10 months.
Oh, fuck.
I didn't know they were that close.
They're 19
forgot.
months apart, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot.
How far are ours?
24 months. No,
So-
sorry. 26 months.
Kathy was under the impression that
You can't get pregnant.
when you're
breastfeeding.
breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And she had kind of had like one cycle, like
Right.
one normal, and
Lily was just ready.
just boom.
Lily was like, TikTok, Mom.
Yeah.
Coming through.
And I didn't even know she was the second month. I didn't even know she was late, or so. And then she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna pee on this stick here because I think there's I don't know. I'm super tired." Oh, that's what it was. She was so exhausted. She'd be hanging out with Max, and she'd be like falling asleep in the middle of the day, and she hadn't been that exhausted since she was pregnant the first time. And she was like, "This seems weird." So she peed on a stick, and she's like, "I'm pregnant." And I went, "I need to sit down." I was super surprised, but it worked out great because they're got it done.
Yeah, they're great kids. Did the stress
Sorry.
of what is he doing?
I'm tapping on the mic.
Did the stress of trying to get pregnant affect your sex?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so.
Did it make it more intense? Were you more uptight? Were you
more
frequent?
I wasn't more uptight. Oh, it was more frequent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely more frequent. But yeah, I mean, when it was right around that time,
right,
to try, it was, every other day about every other day.
Oh yeah.
During that,
those days.
right?
Fuck yes.
But it was also, kind of on a mission.
right,
Like, but still, for me, I was like, okay, I can
no problem.
I can complete that mission.
I've been doing
Yeah. Oh wait, we've got to be done quickly. I'm on it.
I'm sorry. You want a quickie?
Yeah.
You just want my semen?
You don't.
Oh,
yeah.
that's what I specialize in delivering semen.
Yeah. You mean
I've
you
been
don't
training for this my whole
Yeah.
life?
I don't need to go and do anything special under the hood first.
No.
Like.
You don't care that I look you in the eyes. I can just look straight into your tits and blow a load in you. No, I got that. I got that.
So you know that people age 65 and over still have sex like once a week statistically. So that's kind of cool to look forward into your life and go, okay, it'll be kind of the same.
Can't wait to fuck an old lady.
I think you already do.
No, you're 48. You're still in your prime.
I feel kind of old.
We're gonna try to Benjamin Buttons you with plastic surgery.
What? No, I'm not getting any plastic surgery.
I want you to look so fake.
No, that's you wrong, girl.
I wish that there was like. I want plastic surgery. Like yesterday when I did that video, I noticed like the sun marks on my face.
Oh, come on.
Okay. When I first got my first TV show, I had to play the first day. I had to play an old man. They had to dress me up. They dressed us all up to look like old versions of ourselves. And she couldn't. They do this thing with glue, where they take your skin like this and then put glue over it, and it just holds like that, and it looks like you had wrinkles. And she couldn't get me to have wrinkles, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll be young forever."
So looking toward the future, right? I guess sexually, but when kids are gone,
Threesomes. What?
Threesomes?
Oh,
no.
never mind. I'm sorry.
No, when kids are gone, do you think it'll affect your sex life positively? When everybody's out of the house and it's just back to the two of us or the two of you?
Yeah, my luck, we'll have all the time in the world to do it, and
nothing will change.
No, it won't work.
And it won't work.
I'll get to that age and it'll be like, sorry, buddy, I quit. I'm all done.
His dick.
I think we would actually have more, because when I go away with Bert, like when I went on the tour bus with him, we have so much fun.
Yeah.
And when we get in our house, I would not change my life at all. I love my kids and I love everything I do for them. But it is like splitting myself 3 ways as opposed to 1 way, right? So then when they're gone, I'm not looking forward to them being gone. But it is an inevitability.
Not at all.
I'm not either, but it is an inevitability.
There's not an inevitability. I think Isla will be with us for a while.
No, she will not. She won't want to live under our rules and regs. She'll want to get out. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
But
with all the money she'll be making.
The way she hoards money, she may not need any money. She hoards every dollar we give her, and she gets other people to pay for shit. She's not stupid. But I go, well, the glass half full of that time is that Bert and I get to spend a lot of time together and go back into those days kind of where, like, not where we're dating, but at least we never go to dinner together, just the two of us. We never go away for the weekend, just the two of us. We don't go to the movies by ourselves, simple things that you probably should still do.
Super important.
Yeah, but because he's gone so much, I don't want to take one of the 2 nights home with a date. You know what I mean? I want him to spend both those nights with his kids.
Right.
So once the kids are out of the house, then I get both those nights to myself. I think that would help our sex life, because then I get my connection, that connection I was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know that you can wait that long, though. I mean, not that you do. I mean, occasionally
we get it
you guys
in
will
fits
go
and starts,
out
right?
and go out on a date or whatever. But I agree, that's super needed. Those times where you're not thinking about the house, you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about the kids, not thinking about all the different things that make sex or the passion, the intimacy, the connection together, and make that a lower point on the list.
Right.
And you just go and have a good time, whether it's you go away for a night or you just go out to dinner and then come home. That focused time of just laughing and being together, I think we have to do it too. We don't do it enough.
Right.
You have to.
I think what I'll like is I will like the idea that I will be, theoretically, if the girls go to college, both of them, and they're in college, and it's me and you in the house.
Right.
Then I go on the road and I go, hey, I'm in Boston this weekend. Why don't we go up to Maine and go skiing?
Totally. And I would totally do it.
And she'll be so fucking old.
and
She'll
you-
be like, oh, let me get my walker.
Oh, shut up. You
Hey,
always
let's
accuse me of being a big stick in the mud. But really, I'm not a stick in the mud.
You're not a stick in the mud.
I just
You have,
choose to be responsible
That's it.
for my kids and not go, oh, fuck everybody. I'll go skiing in Maine and you can just be run by a babysitter and throw some food on the floor. Good luck for the weekend. I just can't ethically do that. So all the times you want me to go do stuff, I am actually really thrilled that you want me to go do stuff.
Yeah.
But I just can't say yes to all of them because then somebody else would be raising our kids and I'm not going to do that. So when the kids are in college, I don't have that choice to make.
Yeah.
I just go. No, I'm going to stay here and water my plants and sit with my chickens. I can't imagine that I would make that choice. But I do make the choice to stay with my children because, my dad made that choice for me somewhat. But I so appreciate that my mom did not make that choice. And it is nice, I think, for our kids to have one parent who is 99% of the time always there. You know what I mean?
I'm never there.
No, but you that's not true. You are there, but you can't physically be there. But I can. So as much as I can, What? What are you laughing at?
This text thread's going to be good when we start reading it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
What text thread?
About partying tonight.
I'm sure it's a camper's text
Oh,
thread.
I can hear my phone going.
I know.
Tom Hazlett.
Yeah.
Tom Hayslip
Yeah.
he's on fire.
He's on fire.
He
Such
is
an
on
instigator.
fire lately.
He's on fucking
He's been
fire.
lighting my ass up on the reg.
Oh, we haven't even shared with you about Sandy's baby arm.
Oh, Sandy.
Well, I saw a text.
Oh, God.
Can't
it's
wait.
good.
All right, so hold on. So before
Yeah.
we spin off on that,
Yeah.
So here's my. I don't know that you made me think of this question, but I don't know that I'm going to articulate it right off the top of my head. So a lot of the questions, a lot of the conversations has been rightfully geared toward how do men think about sex, right?
Right,
Because you're following up on what you ladies talked about previously.
Right.
I think the question that I have,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of guys would have, I mean, maybe even women, is,
If your wife goes into a coma, can you fuck her? Is that what you were going to ask?
well,
No.
Oh, good luck.
it is more about what. So there's the standard sex that women and men have together, whatever it is. There's a groove that you get in.
Yeah.
Right? Do women think about what it's like to change that? How do they keep it interesting, right? So men are always thinking about when's the next time, and I'm always thinking about when's the next time, and is she going to be super connected? Is she going to be excited, ready? Is she going to spring it on me, and I'm not going to be thinking she is, and all of that, right? Like, what is the
Hey, get off your phone.
How do women think about what's coming? How do they think about and prepare for? Right? Like, I know you've talked about, well, you've got those 2 days, but I'm always curious. I'm always thinking ahead. I'm like, I wonder if Kathy's planning this for tonight, or I wonder if this weekend will be, morning sex, night sex, or both.
Right.
Or, and I think men are constantly thinking and looking forward to the next thing.
Right.
At least from a hopeful perspective.
Right.
And I don't know that I don't know that a lot of women are really planning ahead that way.
I don't think they are. I'll tell you what I said in the last podcast that in the number 8 about sex was I felt like, at least for me, when I got married, there was a certain real safety Like I didn't have to chase anymore or prove anything or be this crazy sexual person that I was maybe when we were dating. And now I could just kind of relax and enjoy the connection and that libido of I want to be tied up and I want to be spanked or any of that stuff that Bert was doing before. I don't really need or care for that anymore. So I think it's a lack of generosity maybe on my part to not think more that way. I know Bert bought me lingerie and I was like, what am I going to do with it? It's going to be on me for 5 seconds. You get in such a practical...
so hard about that lingerie.
Because that
it
lingerie
was really
funny,
to this day, the joy that lingerie gave both of us
it was pretty funny.
It was so worth it.
But I don't know how all women are, but I know for me, I feel like I kept saying in the other podcast, we've been to the same rodeo, right? Even with different positions, and you fucked me on the bathroom counter and you fucked me on the table. We've done all of that. Been fucked in the shower. We fucked in the bathtub. We fucked on the bed. We fucked in the chair. We fucked on the couch. We fucked in the man cave. We fucked in the garage. We fucked in the car. You know what I mean? Like what else am I going to do? I've kind of been through all of the loops.
There's nothing sexier than when things start moving forward and Leanne goes, hey, we've already tried this and it doesn't work. You want to go find a place that it works? And you're like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we did that recently where I'm like, but this doesn't work. We've already done this. Let's just, you need to be seated for this. Yeah. You can't do this standing up. I'm too short.
That's a funny example. I think we've had the same experience. Like I used to buy, especially when, even before we were married or just when we were married, I would buy stuff for Cathy all the time. And she would look great in it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then she'd be like, why am I going to bother putting this on? It's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable, for the record.
Right.
I've never gotten lingerie and gone, this is the most comfortable thing I've ever had on. I'm sleeping in this every night.
I love male lingerie.
You sleep totally naked. What
I know,
are you talking
just to sex me up.
But I think this is another thing that may be a little bit of the fallout of like women's lib is that I don't have to do that. Like I don't have to do that. I don't need to be sexy. We are at the core. Sex is part of our relationship, but the real core of our relationship is a love and a friendship that doesn't have a whole lot to do with sex. Some to do with sex, but it's not based on sex. And there's no need for that kind of theater, I think, in our brain. Is to put on the lingerie is a type of theater, when really we are just really great friends who have really good sex. And why do I need the theater? But I think that's part of women being in a positive way an equal partner in sex, whereas in the past they maybe weren't as equal a partner in sex. So it had to be more of a theater for a woman, maybe even to have a fantasy about.
That's
but
interesting.
Doesn't your partner deserve a little theater sometimes?
I agree. That's why I agree. That's why I'm saying maybe the women in these scenarios are not being very generous.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I actually brought that up to you one time. I said, hey, do you want to do it? And you went, no. And I went, really? You go, yeah, I know what I like. Like, I don't really give a shit about that. I'm not young. I don't care about that. And I went, okay.
But I do. But see, I think it's a vulnerable place for a man to say, I really do need to see you in this because it really does something for me special.
Well, and also, I'm sorry.
And it may be objectifying to a woman.
So, this is a funny Cathy story. So, for our first year anniversary when we were married, we went to Vegas. We had never been to Vegas, either of us. So this was 2001. And we figured, first year
before or after September 11th?
Before.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, no. Great. So I bought her a dress.
Aww.
And she'd gone, tried it on. She's like, it's now come to be known as the naked dress.
The naked dress?
Yeah, it's her naked dress. Because...
Was it nude?
Yeah, basically. The whole thing is basically, is beautiful and really form-fitting, but you can't wear underwear under it at all.
Oh.
So she's like, I'm probably not going to be able to wear this too many other times. I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
Please. So as a matter of fact, when we went to Vegas recently, I'm like, why don't you, we're going to Vegas. Why don't you bring your naked dress again? She's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
She's like, no, I'm not wearing that in front of everybody we know.
Right.
I'm like, I know.
Right, this story's already awesome. I need you to get a naked dress.
I was like,
we
I know you're not. I'm kidding. But why don't you just bring it and wear it around the hotel room for 5 minutes? Like,
right.
What's wrong with that? At least I'll get to see it.
Right.
But
well, I think
that's the same as lingerie. Just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes. I just need to see it. I think I
no,
know.
but there's something so insanely awesome with going out to dinner with your wife, knowing she's naked under a dress, and then having your brain run fantasies the entire dinner.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's exactly right. And she was naked under that dress to the point, like, if somebody really stopped and looked, that's nakedness. Like,
right.
Like it was super naked.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing because I'm not super comfortable without underwear on. So then now I'm going to be at dinner going, I'm so fucking uncomfortable because I have on no underwear.
Yeah.
So then you
Same with her.
win, but now I'm not happy at dinner.
Right.
So I think it's probably twofold. One is she's trying to take care of herself.
Right.
And go, this doesn't work for me actually at all.
Now especially, right?
Right. Especially now.
This many years later.
And our bodies are different. Like,
Definitely needs to wear underwear now. Things are shaped differently.
totally
down there.
everywhere. Yeah, we blew fucking 2 kids out of those things. I'm not walking around with that without some protection. So forget it. No.
Excuse me, everyone. As we all throw up in our mouths.
So the thing is too, when you're younger, I never thought I had like this hot body, but I definitely had a hot body compared to my 48-year-old body, and the awareness of the difference in shape and size,
Yeah.
and how that I view that as sexual or sexy or sensual is an adjustment for me in my brain, where I have to shut off all this negative talk of, oh, you got the fat here and you got this here and the boobs droop here and this. He doesn't see any of that.
I don't
totally get it. But I have to process that in my head. That's what's going on in my head. Is that I go, I don't want to be like in lingerie pole dancing in my bedroom because I look like a fucking hippopotamus. So I don't think anybody would want to see a hippopotamus in a thong. Thank you for the thong, but a hippopotamus in a thong is still a hippopotamus in a thong in my brain.
Right.
Now, Kathy's body is ridiculous. So I can't, but I think she still thinks that.
She still thinks what?
That I'm not a hippopotamus, but I'm like,
Oh, she's never been comfortable with her body.
or confident in her body, right?
Yeah. And I have to really think hard or look at a picture of us from college or from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
To actually recognize the difference between what it is then and now.
Because she looks amazing. I mean, her body is like a teenager, and my body definitely has changed a lot. So I think it is hard for me to sign up to this sexy. And Bert, by the way, bought this lingerie that I put on, and I was like, it's hitting all of the wrong place. It's cutting me right in the
fucking
middle
hilarious.
of my spare tire.
One
I
part-
now have 2 spare tires. I'm not wearing this ever. And
She put on one, and it was little like side straps on the thing, and her body was just sausaging out of it, and the neck was choking her. She was like, "What do you think of this one?" And I was like,
let's take it off immediately.
hysterical.
So then that's a whole nother self-esteem thing for me. Now I've put this thing on. I look at myself in the mirror and go, I'm going to go vomit. And before I put this thing on, I felt okay, but now I have some serious issues with my body, and I don't really need that getting in my way. And it's one of those same things where the libido drops, the body changes for the woman, the sexuality's connected. To me, Bert's sexy just like he was when we started dating. And he's clearly a different size, shape man. But a man's sexuality is different than a woman's, right? It's very different. So for him, I don't look at him in a Speedo and go, ugh, because he looks basically the same, just a little larger.
us-
maybe
my-
the only person that does that.
Well, I think you're adorable, and I think you're sexy, and you are my type of guy. It's just this big guy, like a bear. You know,
I'm fucking an athlete.
you are an athletic bear, but
Put on goggles in that Speedo and sport it up.
you're an athletic bear. But I don't know. I don't think it's fair that men don't get what they want from their woman. I really don't think it's fair that I feel that way about myself in lingerie. But how do I neglect my own feelings? Do you know what I mean? You have to figure out a way
Communication.
that you can do it, and because literally when I put lingerie on, I feel like covering my whole body with myself.
Yeah.
Like putting on a bathrobe and going, okay, here's the lingerie. Turn the lights out, and you can feel it, but don't feel the sausaging out on the side.
Right.
cut
and
it off.
Lingerie with lights off doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a really hard place to be in your middle age. And I'm sure, having been with Cathy since she was, 19,
Ish, yeah.
you've had to kind of grow with her.
Here's
in
what we
that.
need women to do.
Tell me.
Go onto our computers, go into our history, watch the porn we've been watching that week, and then replicate it unbeknownst to us. How great would that be if Leanne just went through and was like, oh, so I'm going to watch 40 hours of porn and see all the stuff that he's been looking at, and then all of a sudden just come in and do one of the things, not even realize it would be like subconsciously planting a seed of like, mom and dad say we shouldn't be doing this. What?
I've been really naughty.
He's not my dad. He's your dad, and she's my mom.
What are you talking about?
I watched this stepsister porn.
Oh my
other day.
God, that's terrible. Anything else you want to know? Did I help at all?
No, it's a good answer. I think, and I think what it comes back down to is if you're in a good relationship, it's incumbent upon both people, or all three of you, depending on the relationship,
Right.
to communicate really well, right? Because if one person is trying to communicate and the other one either can't receive or can't communicate back, then that's where problems happen, right?
I think you're right.
Because what you're saying is it's not fair that for men that certain things happen, women change and things, but
It's
it's also
not fair.
But it's also not fair that they don't respect that, and likewise, it's not fair that men have a certain need and desire, and that can be met in several ways, especially over time. So there just needs to be constant communication, and that's not easy either, because now you got to make a fucking appointment to go, okay, let's have a conversation about what's really making you excited these days.
Right.
It's like, are you kidding? Like, I just want to get down to it.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's really difficult. I mean, going through the porn history is not a bad idea, but it's also a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
Because the internet's a little bit unreliable.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Cathy goes and looks at something. She decides,
Bert, I want you to meet Jerome. Hey, you watched the wrong porn.
Yeah.
I skipped through that one. I didn't watch the whole thing.
yeah. She comes out with a rubber glove. Just starts
Right.
snapping the fingers on a rubber glove,
Oh my God.
dipping her hand in Vaseline.
Well, I think you're right. I think communication is.
Why are you dressed up as a Nazi? Wait, what video are you watching of mine? Oh, I was doing research on a joke about the Hitler. Jesus Christ. But we'll do it anyway.
I mean, if you insist. Well, I think the communication, you're right, is the key, and to be. I always try to think if I make myself happy, then I'm easier to listen to the other person with the intention of making them happy. How do I find the win-win? Like, how is it not a win-lose? Or how can we get as close to that as we can? Well, how do we find the win-win? You know, that's what I try to do. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes somebody loses, and to be able to forgive that or to allow that, I think is hard for some people. But I think that's part of being married, is that you don't always win and you don't always lose either.
I win all the time.
You
I'm always winning. Is that a song? All I do is win. All I do is win.
Oh
Hey,
my God.
let's talk about partying.
On the podcast, or should
Right
we
now.
wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up, but let's
Well, I appreciate you being willing to come and talk about it. Because
My pleasure.
seriously,
Yeah.
I asked
I
two
think
other
you-
guys and they were like, hard pass.
Yeah, I think your podcast is great. I think
Oh,
it's.
thanks.
I'm glad you started it, and I'm glad it makes you happy, and
And your wife's my sidekick.
I'm thrilled to be a part of it, and
I'm
thanks.
I hope I was an okay
Yeah.
guest. I'm certainly
You're
not
great.
I'm certainly not a
hey, you were willing to come and talk,
An
and you asked
analogy
a good
home run
question,
hitter like me.
and you didn't mind.
Yeah,
You
I'm
didn't.
yeah.
You didn't mind being interrupted constantly.
That's
by
what
Bert.
I do.
I know.
I interrupt.
Everybody.
Listen, Lady Gaga.
Shut up.
I watched.
We watched A Star
Does
Is
that mean
Born.
you're Bradley Cooper?
I am definitely
No
Bradley Cooper.
shit,
I
Steven.
am
Where have you been for the
definitely-
last 8 years? 9 years we've known you. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming on and talking to me about it. I appreciate it.
having
I
me.
hope everybody that listened learned something. I learned something. Did you learn anything, Bert?
Yeah, I learned that you should go through my porn and then replicate it in the bedroom. What I'll do is I'll just send them in a private chat thread to you, just going, hey,
I've tried that. That
Wouldn't
doesn't
be
work.
wouldn't
It
be too
doesn't
bad if
work.
some of this showed up in the.
I've just hit it on the head. It'd be like, check out this link.
I did that one
And
time.
she sees that it's porn and goes, I'm not watching that.
Just like, I don't know how to be that. I'm like, you don't have to be that, but that's a position we could try.
How much fun was?
Wait, did you participate in Kama Sutra in December? You didn't?
12 Nights of Kama Sutra?
It wasn't for a lack of trying. I'm
But
like,
why
let's-
didn't you?
No,
you
ask her.
The partner
I'm like,
didn't
why don't you
participate?
try? Let's try
We
one
did.
of these.
It was really fun.
I'm like, why don't we try one of these? Why don't we try this? Why don't we try this?
So let me be clear so everyone knows,
Yeah.
and maybe you should also talk about this in your intro, only because this was one of the coolest things we've done in a long time.
It was really fun.
We did the 12 nights of Christmas this December, and on the first night, I said to the camper parents, we should do the 12 nights of Kama Sutra as a joke, and then we said what we'll do is we'll all try we'll agree upon a position, we'll all try it that night, something we never have done, and then we'll email it to each other, we'll text to each other our notes on whether or not we liked it. One couple, I won't say who, misunderstood and did all 12 positions one night. Gave their kids fucking Sudafed.
They did a Benadryl. And gave the
Benadryls,
kids
and their
Benadryl.
kids would fucking sleep and fucking.
I forgot about that. And they did all 12.
2 people didn't do
Clearly
it.
that wasn't you, since you just said you didn't do any.
2 people didn't do it, and then Leanne and I did.
No, 4 people didn't do it.
2 couples.
Two
didn't
couples.
do
Two
it.
couples didn't do it.
Really?
It was
they didn't
so
do
much.
it.
No.
It was so much fun.
That's surprising.
But we did it
I
every.
would have
did all
thought they
the-
would tried one or two.
No, I think they got shut down. I think it got
Regardless,
shut down.
Regardless, I had so much fucking fun.
Yeah, it
that
was really
month.
fun. It was fun.
I was down. We were close. I'm like, pick one.
Because you
And
know what happened is it became, because it was a challenge, I was on board. I was like, okay, which one today? Because he's always down every day.
She rolled in. That one of my favorite times we had sex, by the way, was the position where if I was sitting in a chair
and I was
then
sitting to the side on top of you.
she was sitting on my lap, but with her legs side saddle.
Yeah.
And now take that position and fall it into the bed on her back. So she's on her back. Does that make sense? And I'm on my side.
Yeah.
That position fucking rocked.
Yeah.
And Leanne just came in and she goes, hey, new position. Here we go. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Caught me off guard. I still had sleep in my eyes.
there's that I would love that. I would have loved that. I mean,
it was really fun.
We are pretty traditional.
You fucked through a hole in the sheet.
Yeah.
Shut up, Bert.
Moo.
Stupid.
This
No.
ghost has his tongue out.
You're so bad. No.
We
I'm fired
we
hot today.
You are.
we were close to trying a couple, but just ended up being a little bit. It may be like, Kathy's got pretty long legs. There's just a lot. There's a lot to contend with when we're trying. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a hippo. She's a giraffe. Is that what you're saying?
The hardest I've ever fucking laughed with you guys. There's a handful of them, but remember the time we were talking about, we said something about blowjobs, and Kathy goes, it just doesn't work. I mean, that, and I'm too tall. And
Right, because when she's down there, that means half of her body is hanging off the bottom
She
of the
can stand
bed.
up
do you
and
remember,
bend over.
Do you
Yeah.
remember we were saying that her feet were in the kitchen? One foot's in the sink. The other one's on the kitchen table.
Right, I remember
Right.
that now.
Right.
I fucking could have. I wish you had been there last night when we were talking about Sandy using her baby
Oh,
arm.
it was
We
so
were
funny.
fucking dying laughing.
So Sandy tore a rotator cuff, right?
Yeah.
But the doctor is making her do like 6 weeks of physical therapy to see if they can like heal it.
Yeah.
And she says it's improving, but every every time I see her, she's doing some kind of stretch, some kind of exercise to strengthen the muscles around the shoulder. I mean, and the exercises are ridiculous. It's like she has to stand on the edge of a wall with her hand at a certain angle and push on it.
Yeah.
And the other one, she has to lean against a counter and dangle that bad arm and swing it like a pendulum. Round and round, and she'll just talk to you going like, so anyway, I was wondering, could you pick Lily up from softball while she's swinging this arm like a I was like, this is the most ridiculous, and you've been doing this for a month.
So I saw this thing about with Alex Honnold, the free solo climber, where he tested his grip strength, and he has really insane
I saw the
grip
picture
strength.
of that this morning. Yeah.
So then
It's a
I
caliper,
bought
I guess?
this Camry calibrator to test our grip strength. So I did mine very above average, above phenomenal actually. And then
Mickey Mantle like.
Yeah.
And then Leanne did hers.
Mine is
and Tom
below
did
average,
his,
apparently.
and then Sandy did hers, and her hurt arm was like astronomically lower than her non-hurt arm.
right.
And Tom goes, "Oh my God, you're getting a baby arm."
And we just, poor little thing, we just kind of,
we couldn't
stop picking on her about this baby
laughing
arm.
about her.
Bert kept picking the baby arm up and like giving a hand job, helping. It was hysterical.
This is Sandy at a play. Oh, that was great. We were laughing so fucking hard. Leanne has stitches in her face, for those of you that don't know, and she was holding her cheek together.
I was like, they're going to split open.
Fucking
I
laughing.
could not stop laughing. It was really funny.
And by the way, all right. You ready to go eat?
Are we eating?
I'm starving. It's fucking noon.
All right. Well, thanks, Stephen, for coming.
Steven, you
I
rock,
appreciate
man.
it. Thanks, babe, for coming and talking about this. I appreciate
Hey, I
it.
really think I learned a lot about myself that I fucking should talk about in therapy.
I'm so glad, because that's my whole purpose, is to learn. I just want to learn, and then hopefully everybody that listens learns too, because that's what, it's the one thing that never stops happening in life is learning, if you're open. All right. Well, thanks.
What can I bring besides grapefruits?
Oh, shut up.
God, I hope. Listen, if you learn nothing about sex about this podcast, this is what you should learn. If you have a close group of friends, keep them close. You can have so much fucking fun with them.
Yeah, it's true. Even
Inside
with the
jokes fucking rock.
bumps that we go through from time to time.
Yeah.
We don't really have that many bumps, but every once in a while.
Wow, Kathy's already thumbs up in to
I
party.
know.
I know, right?
We start this party early, end it late, end it early.
End it early. I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
I'm gonna jog over to their house.
Oh, are we going to their house? Oh,
Yeah,
why are we talking about this? All right. Thanks for listening to
I love you, Leanne.
Sex
Do I have to go
Part 3.
home?
No, you don't have to go home. Let's start
No,
drinking.
I mean,
now.
if we're good, yeah.
Are we ending it?
Yeah, it's done.
Bye.
All right. I love you.